Many people say that by 2030, for sure, Bitcoin will be 10 to 12x from here. How do you see?
I'm pretty confident can reach 1 million.
You have also publicly spoken about the jelly incident happen on Hyperliquid.
We just want to make that stand out, that stance clear. But the real killer is Binance and OKX by listing jelly. That's really like they are trying to kill Hyperliquid.
Meet Gracy Chen. She didn't start in boardrooms or on trading floors. She started in front of the camera as a TV host.
Today, she is the CEO of one of the world's leading crypto exchanges, Bitget. She stands out as the only female CEO among the top 10 global crypto exchanges, breaking barriers in a male-dominated industry.
When Bybit was hacked for $1.4 billion, it was a huge amount. But you came there, you offered approximately $100 million to them.
40,000 Ethereum. They don't want to sell their Bitcoin for Ethereum, right? Then that will cause market panic as well. So we said, okay, we gave them the Ethereum, no collateral, no maturity date, no interest. We can never let FTX happen to this industry again.
What's your overall thought on like one company having so much of power?
So MicroStrategy has about 3% of the total Bitcoin supply. Very strong concentration risk.
Michael Saylor quoted that 4-year cycle is dead and maybe we are entering in supercycle. What's your thought on that?
I don't think 4-year cycle has already ended. I also think in 2026 there might be another round of bull market.
What's your end goal with Bitget right now?
I wanted to be on a global stage with big TradFi and fintech companies such as Nasdaq.
What is your vision with BGB right now? Any price target that you have in your mind for that?
I think it will reach one day.
One narrative that will completely die in the next cycle.
I would say GameFi. Yeah, don't hate me.
Gracie, today you are the CEO of one of the biggest exchange in the world, Bitget. And you have also been like host on a TV just a decade ago. Who was Gracie before all of this?
Who was Gracie 10 years ago? Gracie 10 years ago was a, like you said, journalist, passionate about technology and finance in general. That's why I was very focusing on this topic of entrepreneurship and finance. I did had a finance and mathematics background before being a journalist. I studied applied math and management in my undergrad. So at that time, I was really curious about what's happening around the world, and talking to top leaders was a great way to learn what's happening and what's going to happen. 10 years ago, when I was living in Beijing, I got hooked by Bitcoin because there were some of my TV friends who asked me to check out Bitcoin.
Which year?
2014. That was the first year I heard about Bitcoin. I read the Bitcoin white paper. I was immediately captured by the mathematical beauty of how Bitcoin was designed. Very clear, 13-page Bitcoin white paper clearly detected how this whole decentralized ledger works. So I bought a little bit Bitcoin at that time, and of course it went pretty well, given that time Bitcoin price was only 300 USD. Now it's 80-something thousand, 85,000 at least. But I think the key thing here is I was very curious. I'm still very curious about what's happening around the world now. But of course, 10 years ago, I was just a very naive young girl who was a journalist and started to know what's happening around the world.
What was your turning point? When you look back, what was the point that changed the perspective for this whole world for you?
I would say it was probably my age of 18.
18.
That was the first year I ever stepped outside of China. So before my age of 18, I've never even went out of China except for going to Hong Kong for visiting. But Hong Kong is also part of China. So age of 18, I went to Singapore. I got a full scholarship to study at the National University of Singapore. So that's the first time I went abroad, and that totally opened my horizon. You've been to Singapore, right? So Singapore is a very small country, but very global country. Through Singapore, I visited the US, Mexico for my summer program just to study abroad. Then I went to the Europe, went to some other countries. So age of 18, that's the turning point for me because that just opened the world in front of me at my younger age. And before that, my understanding of the world was very limited in only China and what's happening surrounding me. So at that time, I started to see, number one, cultural difference, to be very aware of who am I, what brought me here, where I'm going to be. I want to stand on a global stage. And I also told my mom, since National University of Singapore is number one school in Asia by many rankings, in the future, I will get to the number one school in the world. That's why when I applied for my master's degree, I only applied to Harvard, Stanford, MIT. I ended up going to MIT for my MBA. So being able to continue standing on a bigger world or bigger stage actually helped me a lot in terms of shaping who I am and knowing what I can achieve. When I was at MIT, I studied with some Nobel Prize laureates. For example, Simon Johnson, he was last year's Economist Prize winner on the Nobel Prize. And what he teaches at MIT is actually a course that gives you perspective on the world economy. So every single class we went in, before we start the class, we actually read a lot about a specific country. For example, Korea. For example, why Singapore became such a prominent country given it has very limited resource. So Simon Johnson, my MIT professor, actually brought us on a world tour, studying every single culture and every important economy in terms of how the regulations, how the specific policies and geography shaped this country in terms of the world economy. So that's some great courses that I took. And when I look at the world today, I think about what Simon taught us in terms of, why, for example, UAE is building their architectures and cultures in this way, and why this country is building their crypto regulation in another way. Things like that actually help me understand this world much better.
Even when I look back in my life, the decision I've changed completely things for me was moving to Dubai, of thinking even of being in Dubai, because I come from a very tier 2 city from India. And when it comes to Simon, that's the reason maybe Bitget have been so successful to get into the local communities across the world, because you got to learn about the culture at very young age. That can be the reason.
Yeah. And of course, when we do our globalization and world expansion, I think a lot about this balance between globalization and localization. What I mean by that is Bitget has a quite sophisticated infrastructure in terms of our team structure, organizational structure, our product, and our technology. These are globalized. But when we go to each individual country, and of course, crypto trading is very personalized, very localized in the way that, number one, we need to build a local team. We have a country manager. We have some local team who talk to our partners. We have an on-off ramp infrastructure built specifically for this currency. Of course, most of the time we also need to talk to the regulators and make sure we have the proper compliance available there. So all those things are very localized. And that's exactly what I mean by globalization and localization. Sometimes I also look at the world users' data. For example, most of the Asian users, especially in Asia, especially in East Asia or Southeast Asia, they were very attracted by meme coins, by some speculation narratives there. But when we look at the more European users, especially about a year ago, they are very captured about the idea of deeping, the idea of SocialFi and RWAs, because that's where they see more real world applications. So the user's data and the trading behavior can be very different. And of course, there are also certain other countries, such as Turkey, they don't allow derivative trading because the religion, per their religion and the culture, they believe anything with leverage is a sin. So things like that are very, very typical. And I just find it very interesting how that trading behavior in Web3 relate to the country's specific characters.
And Bitget is right now only like you are one of the first exchange to introduce gold and stocks. And right now you have many options for the investors.
Yeah.
What's your end goal with Bitget right now?
It's hard to tell what Bitget may be like 10, 20 years later in terms of the end goal. But in terms of maybe 2-3 years, that's the time horizon I find easier to do a prediction. And that's probably the world of Bitget that I've thought about enough. So 3 years later, number one, we will be standing on a much bigger and global stage, like the 10-year ago kind of Gracy, not 10, like when I was 18, it was definitely more than 10 years ago. But basically, I always wanted to stand on a bigger, more globalized stage, thinking about my upbringing. So similar for Bitget, I wanted to be on a global stage. I wanted to be the same kind of company that can be compared not just with other crypto exchange, but with big TradFi and fintech companies such as Nubank, such as Nasdaq. So that's definitely our goal, and that's why we don't limit our product offerings to just crypto or just Bitcoin and altcoins, but to RWAs, tokenized US stocks, tokenized commodity, tokenized forex. As after 2024, 2025, the world of Web3 is no longer just a small world by itself. It's very much connected and integrated with the TradFi, with Wall Street, with all sort of assets, because those can all be tokenized. So that's why our offering have also been expanded. Today, you can buy tokenized gold, tokenized US stocks. More than 100 different US stocks are offered there. Very soon, maybe in a month, you will be able to purchase or trade tokenized forex, tokenized oil, tokenized silver, etc. on Bitget. Because indeed, I think TradFi is a much bigger market. It's a 4,000 trillion market, but today RWA is probably just a 300 billion market. So looking at that, there's lots of growth to be made.
It's almost look like 100x plus growth waiting there.
It's definitely more than 100 times.
So for Bitget ecosystem has grown a lot in recent times, especially the core token BGB, right? You have gone through merger, you have gone through token burning and multiple events and new utilities that has been added. What is your vision with BGB right now?
I have to highlight BGB is already shifted to More Foundation, which is a public chain that we incubated, but we don't really own them. So BGB is used as a gas fee on Morph. I myself still hold a lot of BGB, of course, and then BGB is also used as the only utility in Bitget centralized exchange, Bitget wallet, decentralized wallet, as well as Morph Foundation, Morph as a public chain. You call it layer 1, layer 2, it doesn't really matter. It's more of a Ethereum layer 2 in terms of the technology infrastructure. Yeah, but it's a PayFi public chain. So this BGB is the only utility among these three ecosystems.
That sounds good. So we have seen that exchanges token has performed really well in past also, and BNB has performed well, MNT has performed well, BGB performed well. The reason behind that was a strong utility. Going forward, what's the roadmap for BGB to add more utility like BNB, something like that?
Well, again, BGB is still the only utility token in the Bitget exchange, but it's largely driven by the More Foundation. From the exchange point of view, we do have launch pool, launch pad, or sort of like earning, VIP layer. All these scenarios are using BGB. In my opinion, I don't really look at BGB's price on a daily basis because BGB's growth strongly relate to the whole ecosystem. So my goal here is not to drive up BGB price, but to build a very strong ecosystem, very big exchange to make us grow to like the specific markets and specific sectors. For example, as of today, Bitget hasn't launched our perp DEX nor prediction market, but these are two specific sectors that we are building, and we are also strategically partnering with some partners. Haven't announced anything doesn't mean we haven't done anything. We will find a good time to announce and to launch something. But the idea is, for me, I want to focus on building, focus on growing the whole ecosystem rather than purely, speculating on BGB or the price itself.
That announcement sounds very exciting to me. If you see, what will be the future for, like, as you have gone through a lot of changes recently, how do you see the future of BGB in 2027 and 2030? How will it look like number of users or it will be a top in PayFi? What's your vision with that?
BGB ecosystem specifically.
Yep.
With Bitget's exchange growing, I'm sure BGB's holder will be more. But if you want me to, give a specific prediction on how many holders, I actually don't know. Because again, the idea is about building the exchange and building more products that our users need. Look at the market trends. Maybe 3-4 years ago when I joined Bitget, I didn't expect the TradFi trend to be so clear. I didn't expect RWAs to launch only 3 years later, right? Even in 2022, if you think about what happened that year for the FTX collapse, Celsius, 3AC, 3 Arrows Capital, Luna collapse, all these things happened in 2022. You can't believe that only 2 years later, the US allowed users to buy Bitcoin ETF already, and the new president were so crypto friendly. Things like that you just can't expect with a 3 years horizon. I do think BGB has lots of growth potential. And I do think the PayFi idea and the growth on Bitget Wallet and Morph is also on the right track. Again, looking at the trend, stablecoin is a killer sector, is a killer app sector for crypto, other than maybe exchange business. I don't see that many sectors that has very strong product market fit, honestly. If you look at things we talked about earlier, Depend, SocialFi, GameFi, these are some of the sectors that had a hype before, but again, in 2025, if you see very strong user adoption and product market fit, you probably don't see that, at least not yet. So PayFi, exchange business, prediction market, perp DEX, which is also related to trading and exchange business, are the sectors that we want to be very focused on.
BGB has been one of the top performing exchange token. Any price target that you have in your mind for that?
I don't really have a price target.
You don't have?
And again, I don't even decide the price target because the price is
prediction, random thoughts.
Earlier this year, I said BGB can reach $10, which it hasn't. But I think it will reach $10 one day.
Okay, ecosystem is working for that.
Yes, because we're all working for the whole ecosystem.
In 2025, we saw huge demand for decentralized exchanges, perp DEX especially. For example, Hyperliquid, Aster, Lighter. And you have also publicly spoken about the jelly incident happen on Hyperliquid. Okay. What made you do that tweet, and what exactly you feel is going on wrong there, on what need to be changed?
I just want to highlight to the market that all these perp DEX are not DEX in the sense that it's very much like a centralized exchange that has a centralized government entity who decide on things like, for example, when Jelly happened, the Hyperliquid Foundation can directly reverse the transaction, and that's not how DEX work. That's probably how many centralized entities work, which I don't really think Jeff or Hyperliquid did anything wrong, but I think they should not wear the DEX or decentralization hat while doing the CEX or centralized entity kind of behavior. And that's the key thing or key message that I wanted to deliver, not necessarily on that specific incident.
Okay. So after Jelly, have you seen any other incident that similarly happened with like Hyperliquid, Aster, or Lighter, or any of this perp DEX platform?
I'm sure many of them this just keep on happening because, again, if you look at some of those perp DEX, they are actually largely related to some other ecosystem. Maybe Aster versus Binance. There are people who suspected that many of the liquidity of Aster actually came directly from the Binance order book, which is, I'm just quoting someone else's comment. I can share you that quote. That tweet they quoted. But this keep on happening. I don't have any specific incident in mind because it was never as big as Jelly. I made my point on the Jelly incident already. Again, I actually like Jeff as a person. I don't want to start any fight there. I think what they built in Hyperliquid is one of the greatest innovation and entity or platforms in this cycle. But just highlighting that some of those behaviors are not decentralized exchanges.
And when people saw this incidents and overall surge of demand for perp DEX, many people started quoting that this could be the beginning of the end of centralized exchange. Do you feel so in future centralized or decentralized exchanges will work together, or only the decentralized exchanges are going to dominate and centralized exchanges will fade away? What's your thought overall on that?
Yeah, I definitely don't think that decentralized exchanges will be the only form in this market. The market is so big and there are so many users who would like to try different things. Data shows centralized exchange versus decentralized exchanges kind of ratio is indeed decreasing after FTX collapse. Many people don't have that credibility or trust in some of the smaller centralized exchange already. And we think centralized exchange versus decentralized exchange is actually more of an integration rather than a fight. It's not you can choose only one or two. You can have both. You can eat your cake and have it too. What I mean by that is, if you look at the users' behavior, many of the new users are still onboarded through CEX because CEX give you the top-notch user experience, 24/7 customer service, the easiest on-off ramp experience for you to convert your fiat into crypto. All these things decentralized exchanges cannot do. So So users are still mainly onboarded through central exchanges like Coinbase, Binance, Bitget, OKX, Bybit, etc. Or maybe some other smaller exchanges. I don't really think they could survive anymore, especially after FTX collapse. Especially if they cannot establish their trust with their users. But the bigger exchanges, like those names I mentioned earlier, I think should be fine. For the decentralized exchanges user, it's typically someone who have been trading a while with CEX, and they realize, okay, Binance only listed about 300 tokens. Bitget only listed about 800 tokens. There are many other tokens that I want to trade, but are not traded, are not tradable, and are not listed on CEX. So I go to Binance Alpha, I go to Bitget on-chain, I go to a DEX for those kind of trading. So that's more of a user behavior that we see, and that's indeed why I think there should be integration rather than, purely CEX or purely DEX.
That's the reason recently you had a partnership with Solana.
With Solana, with actually our partnership is not just Solana, it's also with Ethereum, BSC, Base. BSC Base, they are considered as other ecosystems public chain, but for us, we think it's an important public chain, and we have already integrated them. So what we demonstrated in the Solana breakpoint, when user can just input a contract address and start trading Bitget of that token, even if we haven't listed that token, you can do the same for in total 6 chains today, which are Ethereum, Solana, Base, BSC, Morph, as well as Monad. Actually, Monad chain is just going to launch today. On Bitget for the on-chain trading.
Long time ago, you publicly stated on Strategy and Michael Saylor that because there is a huge risk associated with them, right? And on a broader level also, there is a huge risk for not just company, for the market. Okay. Overall, is your perception still same with them? Is your perspective has changed? And what's your overall thought on one company having so much of power to destabilize the whole market?
So MicroStrategy, or strategy, however you want to call it, has about 3% of the total Bitcoin supply. So very strong concentration risk. That's one thing I highlighted earlier about a year ago. And another thing is, if you look at what happened on all these DAT, digital asset treasury company, the key concept is they want to remain or keep a high MNAV, the multiple of net asset value. And MNAV has been less than 1 for a long time for many DAT companies. That means the amount of token that they hold on the company's balance sheet is even smaller than the market value. And that means they can't buy the token on a premium because the market value of the company or the company's book value versus market value is not going to give you that premium. So that's a risk that I see in lots of DATs. If you can't have that premium, or even if but basically there are also lots of DATs whose token are very much locked. And that's indeed why the MNAV is smaller than one.
Locked how?
Locked by, for example, this DAT maybe have the partnership with a crypto foundation, and those crypto come from this crypto foundation, but it's locked. You can't sell the token on day 1 of the listing on the open market. Some are locked for 1 year, some 2 years, some maybe half year, or they have a vesting schedule. Because if you think about it, if the MNAV, if it's not locked, what the company can do is just directly sell, right? Sell the token. So the foundation wants them to be locked. Indeed, every DAT partnership is different, and the structure is different. The token scam schedule is different. We will need to look at individual structure, and many of them, most of them, maybe 99% of them are not public information. But going back to MicroStrategy, I still see some risks involved in terms of Saylor or MicroStrategy may sell their some of the Bitcoins on their hands in order to pay back their creditors, and then the premium of the DAT NAV is not as high as it was before. It could be as high as 2 or 3 times. Now for MicroStrategy is almost to 1. 1 means there's no premium. It's just book value equal to the market value. Yeah, so that's the kind of risk that I see. It's concentration risk, potential risk that many of the companies don't have this premium, so they cannot raise the fund anymore. And then for the stronger risk is when there are companies structure whose token are all locked or partially locked. Some of the companies outside who maybe hedge funds, they can actually target to these DATs and drive their equity price further down.
Tell me more about this. How?
If you just short sell them.
Okay.
Right. There are companies like is a water bridge. No, 浑水. The Chinese name is 浑水. I think there were some companies. If you look at the movie The Big Shot,
Yep. I remember.
You can short a company if you think the fundamentals is not strong. I'm not doing that obviously because I'll never short crypto industry or Web3 industry, but I'm sure there are some TradFi companies who it's been said that there are certain TradFi companies who have been targeting on MicroStrategy and drive their equity price further down. And I'm sure if there are companies who do the same thing to other DATs whose fundamentals are now strong, whose tokens are locked, it could potentially happen again.
How does the future of DATs look like according to you? Like, is it very risky? How does it look like?
Okay, I think the top DATs should be okay if they can continue raising the fund. MicroStrategy, Tom Lee, Bitcoin, Ethereum kind of DAT should be okay. But the long tail DAT is not performing well already, not to say the future. There are maybe 5 DAT deals that approached me as a private investor, and I looked at their structure specifically. There are definitely more than 10 who talked to me. But those 5 that I looked specifically, that I think, number one, many of the long tail DATs. When I say long tail, it's definitely a token, falling maybe outside of the top 5 or top 10 cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
There are also companies who approached us to include the BGB as a DAT strategy, and we refused all of them. We said no to them because I don't see the long tail DATs performing as well as the top-notch DATs.
In numbers, if you put in percentage, 90, according to you, how many percentage of DAT will go bust according to you?
I think 90%.
90%?
90%.
Will go bust.
About half a year ago, when I look at all the Bitcoin DATs around the world, there were about 80, 100-ish sort of DATs globally. Of course, US is the largest market. There are Canada, Japan, even Hong Kong, who has some DATs. All those companies are listed in the open market. And all of those are Bitcoin DATs, which is slightly better because Bitcoin's pricing and the change of price wouldn't be as dramatic. But many new DATs who come up with not Bitcoin as holding, maybe some random, top 30 meme coin or top 50, whatever public chain kind of token, I think those are slightly dangerous, especially if they have a long lockup period.
When Bybit was hacked for $1.4 billion, it was a huge amount.
That is.
But you came there and few industry leader, you offered approximately $100 million to them and transferred
40,000 Ethereum.
40,000 Ethereum. It's a huge number, right? One side we saw like you all guys, Bybit, Bitget, Binance, OKX, like as a competitors. On the other side, you show the power of crypto community standing together in the hard times. Like, what exactly that's teach you about this whole crypto community?
First of all, I want to highlight, 40,000 Ethereum because that time their Ethereum were hacked by Lazarus and they needed Ethereum for the short-term crisis when there were lots of users withdrawing Ethereum. And also we only used our own funds rather than our users' fund. I made it super clear because the users' trust is non-negotiable. We can never touch users' fund. Then back to your question, what taught me about that? Number one, I think you highlighted a very interesting fact, which is all these exchanges are competitors on a daily basis. You know, we fight for users, we fight for token listing, we fight for talents. There were some, my listing head came from Bybit. Some other ecosystem, many heads of ours come from Bybit. Some of our key employees also went to Bybit. So this is kind of very healthy fight or healthy competition that has always happened among all these exchanges, which I think is good. But in an incident like what happened in Bybit earlier this year was totally another thing, because at that time what we saw is our crypto industry need to work together to build trust. We can never let FTX happen to this industry again. When FTX happened, all the people just lost interest and trust to the CEX. And the whole industry, I feel, it just were dragged down by maybe 2 years, delayed the development. So when Bybit happened, we talked to Ben and we asked him, what help do you need? And he said, just not even like a request. It just like naturally said, maybe some Ethereum because all these people are withdrawing Ethereum from us now. And we don't want to, they don't want to sell their Bitcoin for Ethereum, right? Then that will cause market panic as well. So we said, okay, let's borrow, let's lend you some Ethereum. And then we gave them the Ethereum, no collateral, no maturity date, no interest. We just gave it to him because we trusted Ben, we trusted Bybit. So that's the kind of healthy competition and collaboration that was happening. And I think, again, in that situation, and of course, exchanges were never each other's enemy. Rather than cutting the pie, what I want to do is to grow the pie. Only if the pie is bigger, that just by maybe for us like 10% of the share is good, it's decent enough. And that's why you see when Bybit happened, we stepped up to help our competitor or a peer exchange because we want to keep the pie big and hopefully grow the pie bigger. And again, if we look at our strategy, we don't just fight with each other about this token listing. We grow the pie bigger because we are including more tokenized stocks, tokenized assets on our platform. That's where you get more users. Some previous TradFi stock users, they can start to trade in crypto now because I can offer Tesla, I can offer NVIDIA as well on my platform. After Bybit, we did a lot of checks internally, externally on what can potentially happen that went wrong and cause us similar very big payback. We checked on our risk system, on individual accounts, on the whole separation of code and hot wallet, on the service providers, on potentially people using AI to deep fake people and industrial leaders or go through KYC, things like that. So we did a lot of checks on different levels, internally and externally, to avoid what could happen to us. Because we know all the we know all the hackers are targeting the CEX. And of course, later this year, you see Bybit being hacked by the same North Korean group. And again, I think this fight will never end.
If you see like overall, like it was a very bad incident for the overall industry. But if we see the positive side, it brought all the crypto community together at the same time to fight the wrong actors.
Yeah.
And it also increased the security, like for Bitget, for many other. It kind of forced us to think like how we can be more secure for the users, right?
Yeah, totally.
Recently, CZ quoted in Bitcoin Mina as well as Michael Saylor that 4-year cycle is dead, and maybe we are entering in super cycle. What's your thought on that? Because many big people are saying the same thing, that 4-year cycle is dead. What's your thought on that?
I don't think 4-year cycle has already ended.
Okay.
But I do think 4-year cycle is smoothed out by the main street, by the Wall Street, by the larger macroeconomics. What I mean by that is 4-year cycle is, of course, we know that it's driven by the Bitcoin halving and largely a narrative or a belief among the crypto circle. It has happened before, we think, or the crypto circle, more crypto native people like miners, like project founders, even exchanges may still believe. And even if Bitcoin ETF and DATs are the two capital inflow ways in this current, bear bull cycle, still the crypto native people like exchanges and miners hold a lot of Bitcoin and are still very sizable. So I feel these two kind of strengths are fighting each other, and that's why 4-year cycle is not as prominent as it was before. Now there are U.S. interest rate cut, more macroeconomic, more crypto-friendly frameworks coming around from the US and from the world. That's helped soothing out the 4-year bull bear market cycle. I also think in 2026, there might be another round of bull market, especially if the interest rate cuts is higher than expected and more liquidity coming from the US and the world. Bitcoin wasn't performing as well as gold or top M7 US stocks like NVIDIA in the 2025 year. But I think 2026, there is a potential that Bitcoin can catch up.
Any price target that you have in mind for 2026?
I think if if what I predicted really came, and we are going to enter another maybe shorter but maybe fast bull round, Bitcoin can be as high as 150K, or maybe a lower top target can be 130K, which is at least surpassing all-time high, surpassing our previous all-time high. But that will be up to the U.S. liquidity. So interest rate cut, Fed's decision, the new Fed chairperson, things like that are driving Bitcoin's price and crypto price. And this integration between Bitcoin or crypto community versus TradFi has never been tightening as tight as it is now.
And what about 2030? Many people say that by 2030, for sure, Bitcoin will be sitting on $1 million. It looks like approximately 10 to 12x from here. How do you see, by which year we can hit $1 million per Bitcoin? Or by 2030, what's your target on that?
I'm a slightly more conservative person on this stand. I do think Bitcoin will reach 1 million one day, but not necessarily within 4 or 5 years. I'm looking at 10-year. 10 years later, I'm pretty confident that Bitcoin can reach 1 mil. Because again, the liquidity is driving most of the financial assets price, and of course, Bitcoin as a pure liquidity catcher. I think that's why it's going to grow up. It's the digital gold. It's the one and only cryptocurrency that is considered or being added to many of the strategic reserves around the world, including the U.S. So Bitcoin being the digital gold, it's a core reason for capturing all this liquidity, and hopefully price can reach 1 mil. Yeah, I'm pretty confident can reach 1 mil in 10 years.
In 10 years, like by 2035?
2035.
Okay, got it. Your journey has been super inspiring. Like on a very young age of 18, you gone to a very strange country, and
Not that strange.
not that strange. Okay,
But it's a very small country. You're
Small
right. Singapore
country.
is very small.
Okay, so you have been to Singapore before 18?
No, like I said, like Singapore was the only country that I've ever went to other than China.
Okay, got it. So in general, but if you speak, like it's been a very inspiring journey. But young age, you left China, and you have worked like you have studied in the best place. At the same time, you have worked as a TV host. Then today you are running one of the biggest exchange in the world. What will, if any young girl is watching this video right now, what will be your step-by-step roadmap or framework for her?
Young girl, how young?
Maybe 20 in her 20s?
In her 20s? Okay, that's like maybe a version of me 10 years ago. I would say you don't need permission to enter this industry, but you do need a plan.
Okay.
And at age of 20, learn as much as possible, as many things as possible. Learn Bitcoin, read the Bitcoin white paper, for sure. It's only 13 page. I still think
It's confusing.
95% of the people in this industry maybe haven't finished Bitcoin white paper. And that's strange because we need to change that. I actually teach at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology about crypto finance. I invited some industry leaders, including Joe Lubin, including Yasui, including Hasib from Dragonfly Capital to speak at my class. And the first lesson or the first assignment that I gave to my student was to read the Bitcoin white paper.
Okay.
I asked all of them to finish that. And I think the same goes to our audience today. You should finish reading the Bitcoin white paper. So back to your question. I think that little girl should start somewhere by really get yourself educated, not just following some hypes or Twitter accounts to see, to hear the noise. Of course, we need to do that. And crypto is largely inspiring or passionate or built on X.com. Because lots of discussions were happening there, especially what's going on right now. But for you to have a strong foundation, you want to read those white papers. You want to understand how blockchain as a technology really work. You want to understand what is ZK knowledge, the zero knowledge kind of ZK proof, which is, again, an important technology that builds lots of layer twos. So you want to get yourself really educated by those foundations. And then for that young girl, I would say, 20-something, it's not early to start investing in crypto, but you only want to invest in the crypto that you understand. Maybe buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and hold it for the long run rather than purely thinking about, okay, I can grab this altcoin and get 100 times within a week. That's called gambling. That's not investing. So this is a kind of the key lessons that I'm teaching my student, and hopefully our audience should understand before starting investing in crypto. Then I would say you should find a job in this industry. Maybe you can you can do your own, studio or set up your own channel like yourself, right? Be a KOL, be an industrial key opinion leader in this space, or you can find a job in an exchange in a top-notch project. We have more than 100 opening positions at
100
Bitget
opening
in
positions.
technology, in marketing, in operations, in business development or sales, in HR, in finance, in financial product development, etc. Everything. So whichever talent you have, you are a talker, you are a marketer, you join our marketing team. You are a coder, you join our technology team, right? You can find a job in this industry so easily as far as you are passionate about Web3. You're passionate about a specific project and you have some skill set. So I would say these 3 steps maybe are good ways to start. Number 1, get yourself educated on the foundations. Number 2, try out to find a job in this space. And number 3, start investing in Bitcoin and some other cryptocurrencies that you are passionate about.
Definitely this will inspire some girls.
Thank
But
you.
let's speak about the problem maybe they can face in the future. It can be like, for example, many, especially in crypto, because of few crypto bros or people, girls have faced a kind of creepy behavior. For example, there's a tweet that stated like collecting girls, something like that. Maybe you have saw that.
Yeah.
Okay. And for that, how she can be prepared? Like how she can be prepared, or like what's your overall experience has been, and what will be your suggestion on that?
What's the oral experience?
Yeah,
What do you mean by oral experience?
Like for example, maybe you have observed this like happening in this industry, and what will be your suggestion for if someone face this, or how she can avoid this, something like that?
Like sort of sexual harassment?
Maybe, but
Or
like
just bias towards gender?
like maybe if someone feel like creepy behavior in this industry.
When I was younger, in my early 20s, I've definitely faced similar things, especially in the working environment. You have some senior older males who are interested in you. Maybe they're just interested in having a coffee with you, not necessarily developing anything, but they showed some interest, not in a way that you appreciate. For me, what I did was just say no, clearly no, and step away from that person. I'm okay not to do this deal, but I'm not okay with me being sexually harassed or just feel offended in that way. So I want those ladies to be aware that you can say no and say a firm no and focus on what you should do. And a good working environment will not tolerate toxic actions like that. So just refrain from the bad behaviors or a toxic situation. As a leader myself today, what I can do is definitely more than just saying no. What I can do is to build an environment that's better for everyone, for gender equality, for empowering females in this space. And that's why when I started to work in Bitget, I started this CSR program called Blockchain for Her. Actually, I'm wearing my Blockchain for Her t-shirt now. Just want to quickly show everyone.
Lady
Like,
forward.
yeah, like our slogan here is not lady first, but lady forward. Because lady first, it was, of course, a nice, gentle words that's said to lots of ladies, but it's said from a male's perspective. Like you tell me, okay, Gracie, lady first, I open the door for you. But my message here is we don't need guys to open doors for us. We can open our door and build our own empire. So not lady first, but lady forward. So that's definitely a mindset that I want to change. But for those ladies, I want you to know that you are a victim. You didn't do anything wrong. And as a victim, please protect yourself and refrain from going to dangerous place or continue in a toxic relationship. And that's not your fault. That's their fault. So always don't blame the victim. And as an industry, we need to work together to build a more healthy industry. I want us to not just I feel crypto has go through this journey maybe 10 years ago when people were just doubting, what's Bitcoin? Are you guys a scam? To now they gradually accept Bitcoin. Like Wall Street started to hold a lot of Bitcoin. BlackRock has the ETF, etc. They started to accept, but we haven't gone to the stage where we earn the respect. And from being accepted to being respected, the gap is actually things like what you mentioned, like whether we respect gender equality, where we respect different race or different belief, where we have LGBTQ kind of equal opportunities, where we don't discriminate anyone who has a child or especially a working mom. Like I'm a working mom, and when I was 20-something and I was just got married, but I didn't have a kid yet, I was also raising fund for my previous Web2 company. And one of the investors told me, Gracie, we like you as a project founder, we like your project, but we do not invest in female leaders, especially those who got married and who didn't have a kid yet, because they thought having a kid is going to impact my commitment to my work and my startup, which is of course wrong. As a working mom, I'm super hardworking and I grow Bitget to where we are today. But that's a stereotype, and that's the kind of stereotype we should never allow in this industry. I definitely don't allow them in Bitget.
I think this was the most important part of this video because I have sister at home, and I know sometimes girls go through things that man even can't imagine, and it's very hard to deal with that. And definitely it's something, a change that will start with us, and really appreciate that you are implementing the values you believe in Bitget, and I hope that whole crypto industry will understand this very soon.
Thank you so much.
From the exchange point of view, you just don't believe in Twitter sentiments. You have the data to back it up from all over the world. What is the thing that you feel so it's going to be next big thing in crypto and people should pay attention to it?
RWAs.
RWA?
For sure. RWAs and PayFi.
PayFi.
So those are the two sectors we are building a lot on. Why RWAs and PayFis? Because that's where you see strong product market fit. Coming from a Web2 background, I'm a strong believer into having product market fit rather than just narrative. I don't think narrative brought where we are today, but the real adoptions where technology of blockchain can really change something or make something more efficient. And again, that's where we see RWAs and PayFi can be applied with technology to, number one, it's a big market. Those both of them, stablecoin, global cross-border transactions, and all those TradFi products, those are originally very big market already. And then number two, the technology can really make a difference rather than just putting the technology there and say, okay, I feel SocialFi, GameFi, dipping our sectors a little bit like I'm just doing this technology for the sake of adding the Web3 element rather than really changing anything. Because Twitter is already very powerful, but if you do a Web3 version of Twitter, where do you have your users, right? That network effect will never come out. This whole experience will not be better because you added Web3 element or technology of blockchain. But PayFi and RWAs are different. Technology of blockchain can really make those transactions faster and cheaper. So that's why we see these are where the killer apps should be and where we are focusing on.
RWA and PayFi. Correct. Okay, so let's play a rapid fire. It will be very quick. Okay. So depend on the question, you have to answer in one word or maybe one sentence. Something.
Okay.
Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Bitcoin.
Ethereum or Solana?
Solana. Maybe just because I know Lily better than Vitalik.
Okay. One narrative that will completely die in the next cycle.
I would say GameFi. Yet, don't hate me.
He is big on games.
Yes.
One narrative that people underestimate right now.
RWAs.
Meme coins net positive or net damage for this crypto?
Net damage.
Net damage, okay. One metric retail should stop obsessing over immediately. Like one metric they should not look at according to you.
You mean people, right?
Yeah, retail audience.
Pure TVL.
One take on crypto, if you put out in public, you will get cancelled for, but crypto world needs to hear that.
There are risks involved in MicroStrategy.
Okay. In your lifetime, what has been the best piece of advice that you have got that has completely changed your life?
For me, when I was slightly younger, early 20, I heard you are not paid by how hard you work, but by how hard you are replaced.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that changed my my understanding of the working economy.
Someone just getting started, okay, and they have to be a successful career like you at very young age, okay. What will be your advice or suggestion for them?
Read Bitcoin white paper. Know the fundamentals. That's the key thing.
Know the
Yeah.
fundamentals of whatever they are doing, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gracie. It was a super inspiring
Thank you.
talk.
Thank you so much. Yeah.